Ladies and gentlemen, in a couple of minutes, you'll hear President Biden say things that he cannot possibly. He's going to promise things he cannot possibly keep. He's going to make promises that he cannot possibly keep, and he's going to say things that he cannot possibly know. Okay, he's going to make claims that aren't rooted in reality. He has no clue if deposits within banks across the country will be there tomorrow. FDIC insurance does protect people up to $250,000. He doesn't know if the banking collapses will lead to catastrophic losses over $250,000. He doesn't know this. There's no way for him to know this. Hit subscribe to this channel. We're going to hear him speak. And to my super chat, I cannot thank you enough. To my super chat, thank you. If you want to talk about this, the banking collapse, what's taking place right now, Biden's, claims during his press conference, the fact that he's going to bail out SVB, and that's fine, but you bail out SVB, you're not taking into account the massive increases in interest rates because inflation is through the roof. Why is inflation through the roof? Because you tanked the U.S. economy. Democrats pushed to end economic activity. This is all about the decisions of the past couple of years. Pony Soldier, thank you. Thank you. To my super chat, thank you so very much. This is about tanking the U.S. economy because you're wrong, Dr. Rand, and all the experts in the room and all the smart people said, you can't go out and have a coffee. So first there was a run on the banks. First there was a run on toilet paper, and now there's a run on the banks. Nico Hammer, thank you. To my viewers in Australia, thank you. Thank you, Nico. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Let's listen to Biden, Nico. Thank you so much, Nico. I hope all is well. And thank you to my viewers in Australia. Thank you, Nico. Hope you're doing well. Let's listen to this, and we'll get to all the reasons why this man is wrong. And why his policy, Democrats pushed to end economic activity. Nico Hammer, thank you. Pony Soldier, thank you. They pushed to end economic activity. Then they opened up the economy, and the governors said, oh yeah, you can work now. Then they claimed credit for jobs that they didn't create. They simply allowed people to work. Biden created not even one job. Not even one job did this man create. He prevented people from working, or I should say Democrats did. And then what happened is during his presidency, we were allowed to go and work and actually live a little bit. Nico Hammer, we love you here in Australia, bro. Thank you so very much, Nico. Greatly, greatly appreciated. I really appreciate your support. And I'm so happy to have my Australian crew, Paul Bartlett, Nico Hammer, and there's been a number of other wonderful people in Australia watching. Thank you so much, Nico. Greatly appreciate the kind words. I'm so happy you're watching. Hazelyn, thank you for watching in Scotland. Insubordinate, hello. Alice, Tracy, hello. Eric, hello. Let's get started. Nico, check this out. This is beyond bizarre. Why? The fact that he's doing, he's not going to stop a bank run from this because he's saying things he cannot possibly know. Also, he's trying to calm the market, but the bank run started from shutting down the economy, then ignoring inflation, then raising interest rates too quickly. It wasn't regulations that were ignored during Trump's administration or repealed. There's not one regulation that would have prevented this. They keep on claiming things they have no way of proving, but that's the way they do things. Here, let's listen to this.
Before I leave for California, I want to briefly speak about what's happening at Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. Today, thanks to the quick action of my administration over the past few days, Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe. Your deposits.
You had the third largest bank. You had the second largest bank go under Sunday, and then Friday, and then the second. So SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, was the third largest bank failure since 2008. So Nico and everybody here, thank you again, Nico. Pony Soldier, thank you. So the third largest bank failure second largest, sorry, I get confused here. The second largest bank failure since 2008 was Silicon Valley Bank. Then Signature Bank in New York was the third largest bank failure since 2008. How on earth are you going to make this claim? How can you make this claim? How is it possible to make this claim? Okay, so let's continue.
Will be there when you need them. Small businesses across the country, the deposit accounts at these banks can breathe easier knowing they'll be able to pay their workers and pay their bills. And their hardworking employees can breathe easier as well. Last week,
how do you know people can breathe easier? How do you know people can breathe easier? A bank run is started by, exactly, Dave, exactly. Brad, hello. Jason, hello. How can you say people breathe easier if the second and third largest bank failures since 2008 took place? How is that even possible? How can you say that? You don't know if there are more bank failures. You also don't know if hedge funds will go under. And if you are reducing interest rates now, so the Fed is going to try to backtrack and lower interest rates, but inflation keeps going up. Corporate profits will go down. Michael Burry talked about corporate profits going down to the point where there's going to be a massive crash. I've been predicting a massive crash since 21. If you have hedge funds go under, even Bank of America and Chase and Citigroup and all these people all these major banks will be affected. So how does he know this?
We learned of the problems of the banks and the impact they could have on jobs of small businesses and banking system overall. I instructed my team to act quickly to protect these interests. They've done that. On Friday, the government regulator in charge, the FDIC, took control of Silicon Valley Bank's assets. And over the weekend, it took control of Signature Bank's assets. Treasury Secretary.
Yeah, but FDIC is insurance corporation, and you saw in '08 insurance companies tank, AIG. So I don't think that the FDIC will tank, but if there are more banks, you can't simply expect FDIC to continually bail out every single bank to the tune of $100 to $200 to $300 billion each bank failure. So, Sparky! Taxpayers will pay taxes, the inevitable tax inflation to bail out bad banks because Fed will print extra money to bail them out. Exactly. Sparky, exactly. Of course we're going to pay more taxes on this. If anything, inflation. MMA fighter, hello. We're gonna pay no matter what on this. Somehow, the average person, the average American will pay. Whether it's inflation or whether eventually higher taxes. Probably just inflation in the short term. But how do you know FDIC will just buy up all the debt for each of these banks? I don't know. Do you know this, ladies and gentlemen? Nico, everyone here, Sparky, I mean, how do we know this? I don't know this. I don't know if the FDIC will if God forbid Bank of America, FDIC won't bail out Bank of America. You're talking about trillions in assets. So, and all these banks pay into FDIC, but who knows if that's enough? I don't know if that's going to be enough.
Chair Yellen and a team of banking regulators have taken action, immediate action. And here are the highlights. First, all customers who had deposits in these banks can rest assured, rest assured they'll be protected and they'll have access to their money as of today. That includes small businesses across the country that bank there and need to make payroll, pay their bills, and stay open for business. No losses will be, and this is an important point, no losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Let me repeat that. No losses will be borne by the taxpayers.
Okay, so I actually agree with bailing out Silicon Valley Bank. I actually agree with that. Sparky! Invisible tax, not inevitable. Exactly. Sparky, thank you. I actually agree with bailing out SVB. But the problem, ladies and gentlemen, is that we don't know if there's going to be other bank runs. And we don't know if FDIC can handle 10, 12, 13, 14 more bank runs. I mean, it probably can, but I'm not exactly sure if it can. So, all you have to do, and we could look at this here really quickly. Trump was right. Trump predicts a market crash we've never seen before. Okay, so steep depression. We're getting there. We're going to see a terrible, terrible, terrible market crash. But here, let's see. Let's see. FDIC is only for $250,000, but okay. FDIC usually only insures $250,000. But now it's so I like that, but I don't understand how the FDIC is going to be able to. FDIC usually insures only $250,000 per account. So I like that the SVB banking clients are not going to lose their money. Well, hopefully. But how can you ensure that this takes place with 10 or 12, God forbid, other smaller banks that go under? I don't know if FDIC was meant for this. FDIC usually only insures $250,000 per account, but it can use its funds to protect uninsured deposits if the Treasury Secretary and 2/3 of the FDIC and Federal Reserve banks determine there's systemic risk to the financial system. Okay, so a strategy that federal officials appeared. Well, of course this is systemic risk, but the point. Let's see how many trillions in FDIC? Let's just go ahead. Okay, how many trillions in FDIC? I don't know how he can make these statements. So, as of December 31st, FDIC insured more than 827 million accounts with more than $9.7 trillion in depositor funds. But, $100 billion is a substantial amount. You just bailed out all of SVB. And so what if you have to bail out 200, 300, 400 billion? Then you cut into the country's 9.7 trillion FDIC insurance. So this would only be a problem if, just from this number here, it would only be a problem if, for example, if Bank of America or Chase went under. But here, if you look at the assets per U.S. bank, largest commercial banks, it says better ones than this here. So here you have Nico Hammer, thank you. To my super chat, thank you so much. Sparky, thank you. 3.3 trillion. I mean, JP Morgan Chase, JP Morgan, Bank of America, 2.4 trillion. So JP Morgan and Bank of America and Citigroup, you're looking at about $247 trillion. So FDIC is only $9.7 trillion in insured. So that will barely take care of the three largest U.S. banks if they, God forbid, go under. Am I wrong here? I mean, you just tell me if you tell. I mean, I could be wrong here. Nico, everybody here, I could be wrong. I could be, exactly. Pony Soldier, FDI. Is that unlimited? I know. Am I out of bounds here? FDIC is an insurance. Is insurance. It's not taxes, it's insurance. So, see, taxes you could fund forever. You could fund anything pretty much forever. You just raise taxes forever. Or you just fund, not forever, but almost. That's why, Sparky! The environment for innovation not being good in Silicon Valley in a while didn't help Silicon Valley Bank. Yep, exactly. And also, not just innovation, you have $10 trillion pumped into the economy and inflation through the roof. I don't think that, Sparky, lending will dry up now. These banks, it's going to be even more difficult to get a home loan. A family's going to want to get a home loan or a car loan or whatever. It's going to be even more difficult. This is Biden's America. And of course, they're going to blame Trump because he's mean. And Trump said, you Biden's America, it's going to be terrible. But if you let me know, Sparky and Pony Soldier and Nico, everybody here, am I wrong here? It says right here, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. As of December 31st, the FDIC insured more than 827 million accounts with more than $9.7 trillion in deposited funds. But if you look at the largest banks in the country, you got JP Morgan at 3.31 trillion. You got Bank of America at 2.41 trillion. That's basically what, $6 trillion, almost $6 trillion. Citigroup 1.7 trillion, over $7 trillion in just three banks. Then you got Wells Fargo. If you add Wells Fargo, you're going to get close to that 9 trillion or around what? You're going to get the 9 trillion. So 2 is 4, 6. Yeah, 9 trillion. You get over $9 trillion. You'll get over $9 trillion that the FDIC insures now just with it insuring JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo. So every other bank, U.S. Bancorp, PNC, Truist, Goldman Sachs, TD Bank, Capital One, okay, not to mention all the SVB was supposed to be the 16th. FDIC is not meant to, I agree with bailing out SVB. Thank you. Rolf Corver, thank you. Rolf Corver, thank you. Balanced UR, been going on for decades. Yep. Thank you. Thank you so very, very, very much. Rolf Corver, thank you. I just don't understand, Rolf. I don't understand if Biden says, listen to him again. I don't get it. I don't get this. Every time he speaks, at least, people didn't like Trump's personality, but he understood the economy. That's why we had record low poverty under Trump. We had household median incomes at record highs in 2019. Then Democrats pushed to tank economic activity. It was that political party that did so. They did so to save you from you know what, and they didn't have to do so. That was a failed policy. Rolf Corver, thank you so much. To my super chat, thank you so very much. But let me know if I'm wrong here, because I don't think that, like, look what he's saying. Does this make any sense to you? Because I don't think this makes sense. And I'm trying to be generous here with this man. Oh, that's a nice picture.
This is an important point. No losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Let me repeat that. No losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Instead, the money will come from the fees that banks pay into the deposit insurance fund. Because of the actions that our regulators have already taken, every American should feel confident that their deposits will be there if and when they need them. Second,
but the deposit insurance fund only has $9 trillion currently in insured assets. $9 trillion. I just named 4 banks. The top 5 banks are over $9 trillion in assets. So this man is misinformed, to say the least. Sparky, thank you. Rolf Corver, thank you again. Sparky, why use hundreds of billions of dollars to help bank customers when it can be sent to... Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Sparky, and that's another thing. That's why I said foreign policy. You vote Trump if you want a good economic policy and foreign policy. Because this is like... What he's doing is like purely public relations, but FDIC is not meant to just bail out people. FDIC is not meant... I'm not saying don't bail out SVB, but is FDIC meant for that, Sparky? I don't think so. That's the point. And in terms of foreign policy, yeah, we just spent $100 billion. That you could have bailed out SVB. Exactly. Great point, Sparky.
the management of these banks will be fired. If the bank is taken over by FDIC, the people running the bank should not work there anymore. Third, investors in the banks will not be protected. They knowingly took a risk, and when the risk didn't pay off, investors lose their money. That's how capitalism works. And fourth, there are important questions of how these banks got into the circumstance in the first place. We must get the full accounting of what happened and why those responsible can be held accountable. In my administration, no one is above the law. And finally,
except Hunter. Except Hunter. Sparky. The fees are in the FDIC lock. Exactly. FDIC heady, exactly. I mean, I don't understand. This makes no sense. Ralph Corver, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ralph, thank you. Sparky, thank you. Let's continue.
we must reduce the risk of this happening again. During the Obama-Biden administration, we put in place tough requirements on banks like Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, including the Dodd-Frank law to make sure that the crisis we saw in 2008 would not happen again. Unfortunately,
they haven't even implemented the derivatives laws in Dodd-Frank. That's why Archegos went down. And all Democrats have been worried about is trying to paint Trump as a Russian operative. So, and they haven't explained how any Dodd-Frank regulation would have prevented this. This is from interest rates going up too quickly. And them making bad investments in terms of bonds so they could give higher CDs and money market to their client base.
the last administration rolled back some of these requirements. I'm going to ask Congress and the banking regulators to strengthen the rules for banks to make it less likely this kind of bank failure would happen again, and to protect American jobs and small businesses. Look, the bottom line is this. Americans can rest assured that our banking system is safe.
Every time he says that, I get more worried. Every single time he says that, he's like, rest assured, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Every single time he says rest assured, it gets me like, I don't, not only do I not trust him, I know it's pretty obvious that I don't think he believes it. Here's the problem. I'm not sure that he believes it. I don't even know what he believes, but I don't think he believes what he's saying.
Your deposits are safe. Let me also assure you, we will not stop at this. We'll do whatever is needed. On top of all of it, let's also take a look at a moment to put.
He said that about foreign policy too. We'll never stop. We'll do whatever is needed to prevent the invasion. If it goes on for 30 million years, we'll do whatever is needed. Whatever is needed is a public relations statement. What does that even mean? You don't have enough in terms of the FDIC's ability to buy, to ensure every single deposit out there is taken care of. You don't have enough in terms of insurance money to take care of that. So I don't know what what is he even talking about? We'll do whatever it takes. And in the market, there's I don't want to this is I'm speaking in hyperbolic terms, but there are maniacs, absolute maniacs in the stock market. I'm speaking in terms of hyperbole now. Obviously, they're not literally maniac, but you have to be some kind of maniac to invest now. The market, it should have gone down 1,000 points today. But it's like this creature that, is placated by shiny things. This gigantic monster. And so they said, oh, Biden's going to bail out SVB. Everything's going to be okay. Sparky! They got their bonuses. They don't need to work for They got their bonuses, but depending on high up, they might have to go to Congress, or they might get sued personally. Depending on how high up you are, you might have to use that money for legal purposes. I mean, look at Enron. They got their bonuses, and you know what the crazy thing? Here's the crazy thing about this. Okay, SVB, I don't think, it's not like Sam Bankman-Fried, who was an actual criminal. I don't think that they did anything criminal. So, Sparky, they didn't do anything criminal. Okay? They didn't do anything criminal. I don't think that they it wasn't a Ponzi scheme. They just made terrible, 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 terrible investments. So that's what's frightening. That's what's frightening to me. So Nico and everyone here, Pony Soldier, everybody here, Rolf, that's what's frightening. They did not do anything illegal from what I can see. Maybe they did. Okay. But the frightening thing is that this was pretty much a bank that made bad investments, or I should say investments that at any other time period would have been okay. That's also frightening. It's not like these people didn't understand finance. They just didn't realize what would take place if interest rates rose too quickly. And when the interest rates increased too quickly, even then they could have been, even then Even then, they could have averted bankruptcy, but there was a run. See, President Mashed Potato Brains cannot promise there's no future run on the banks. Yeah, well, the insider trading they did. No, you're right, Hetty and RTW, you're right. You're right. I don't know. I think that they technically maybe they are. I don't know. I don't know the legality. Probably it's legal, but it's not the FDIC. Pony Soldier, the FDIC is not meant for that. So that's the problem here.
Situation in a broader context. We've made strong economic progress in the past 2 years. We've created more than 12 million new jobs.
This man did not create even one job. Not one job did this man create. Not one. He took over when Democratic governors forced their states to shut their economies down. And you're wrong, Dr. Rand. And every expert and Twitter was silencing and marginalizing and disparaging and demeaning any dissent. The U.S. economy was forced to shut down because the most powerful, loudest voices, all the experts who silenced any dissent among other experts, from other experts, were able to shut down the U.S. economy. You didn't have to do that. We did not have to shut down the entire United States economy, or at least a great percentage of the U.S. economy. I know people would be petulant when they offer about the entire economy. There was a run on toilet paper, and now there's a run on the banks, and it's the Democratic Party's fault. That is not hyperbole right there. Also, the Republican Party for just going along, the Never Trump Republicans. The Never Trump Republicans just went along with it. And no, it wasn't, people just didn't know what was going on, and, it seemed like the right thing to do at the time. No, it was a choice. Most Americans were like, what is going on? What is happening? If you told Democrats tomorrow to shut down the economy, they would do so. You have people who are still in panic mode. Okay? I'm not going to get into it. You do. You have people still in panic mode. So, you have what's the origin of all of this chaos? It's not Trump's policies, it's the policies of the morally superior, highly educated, the consensus of experts. Never listen to these experts when they're trying to shut down economic activity. Okay? It was the worst thing to do. And all he did was become the beneficiary of Democratic governors opening up their states, allowing people to work, thank God.
More jobs in 2 years than any president has ever created in a single 4-year term. Unemployment is below 4% for 14 straight months. Take-home pay for work.
And guess what? Unemployment was below 4% and barely above 3%, a record lows when Trump left, when in 2020, in the beginning of, before Democrats pushed to tank the U.S. economy. Washington Post, Times, all of these publications said Trump wants to open up, defying experts. They did not want to open up the economy. They did not want to open up the economy. And so then they opened up the economy, and he's taking credit for the normal economic benefit of people working and actually living and buying things. But he's not taking responsibility for the inflation or for any of these bank failures due to the increases in interest rates because of his policies. Inflation went up because he went after also the oil and gas associations. He was sued. He wouldn't allow them to operate and function the way they functioned in previous years. Let's continue.
Workers is going up, especially for lower and middle income workers. And we've seen record numbers of people apply to start new businesses, more than 10 million of them, more than 10 million applications over the last 2 years starting businesses. Now we need to keep this progress going. That's what swift action that my administration over the past few years is all about. Protecting depositors, protecting the banking system, protecting the economic gains we've made together for the American people.
The banking system is on thin ice because you raised interest rates too quickly. And you did so because your administration did not take into account inflation, ignored inflation. That's what happened. That's what happened. They ignored inflation. When you ignore inflation, and I mean, it's pretty clear what took place. They ignored inflation after pushing to shut down the economy. Democrats pushed to shut down the economy. This is a fact. It wasn't just something that happened. It wasn't just a consequence that had to have taken place. It was a choice. People have free will. Politicians have free will. You can't blame a microscopic organism or an inanimate object for catastrophe and tragedy, which is what Democrats like to do because they like to absolve themselves of responsibility. Oh, it wasn't us. Well, the you-know-what shut down the economy. No, the you-know-what, no one votes for the you-know-what. The you-know-what can't talk. The you-know-what was terrible, but more people lost their lives from cancer and heart disease. So, and we can get into the latter lately. We don't even have to get into the latter lately. But that was a choice. That was a terrible decision that was championed by media. And when Trump tried to say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't shut down economic activity, maybe we should just although that's good. Michael Burry says no true danger in bank crisis after SVB. Interesting. But Grantham says, but Burry's been talking about an economic collapse, so let's see. But see, there you go. Michael Burry blames SVB collapse on greed and recklessness. Draws a parallel with the dot-com and housing crashes. So I knew that article wasn't really... 2000, 2008, 2023, it's always the same. People full of hubris and greed take stupid risks and fail. He compared it to past government interventions to help failing businesses and buttress the economy during previous crises. However, he hinted that bailouts and excessive spending have consequences such as asset bubbles and inflation. Money is then printed because it works so well. So, there you go. 2000, 2008, 2023. And you have Corn Pop was a bad baker. Pony Soldier, hello. I think that you're probably going to see more either bank failures or hedge funds go under. See, this is the thing. If you get 1,000, 2,000 point drop in the Dow, that's going to affect hedge funds. That's going to affect people on margin. And it's going to be terrible. Terrible for, there's a crisis of confidence because from a macro perspective, $10 trillion in fiscal and monetary stimulus was pumped into the economy because of the decisions of primarily the Democratic Party. Yes, Trump was president, but in his second term, his presidency was commandeered from him. The media blamed him for the media created the hysteria and the paranoia. Yeah, it was a serious issue. You weren't going to lose your life going to get coffee. Sorry. You weren't going to lose your life going to a restaurant. Okay? That was part of a major, major racket. And once you told people that you could only go to overcrowded retail chain like supermarkets where there was a run on toilet paper, it was only a matter of time before there was a run on banks. It was only going to be a matter of time before there would be a run on banks. So, and this is why he's either lying or misinformed throughout the whole thing. You cannot promise people that everything's just going to be fine. Because if you're only able to insure $9.7 trillion in depositor funds, just 4 banks alone have more than $9.7 trillion. So, just 4 banks alone, the top 4 banks alone have more than $9.7 trillion. Here we go. It's right here. JP Morgan Chase, $3.31 trillion. Bank of America, $2.41 trillion. Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and that's already around $9 trillion. And then what happens to U.S. Bancorp, PNC? They're not going to all go down at once, but it's supposed to be for 250,000 and over. So here you have the largest banks in the U.S. I don't think FDIC was meant to completely bail out a bank, with $200 to $300 billion in assets or in deposits. Sorry. So, again, he's making these promises that he can't really keep. You can't state with certainty that there won't be bank runs. You know what? Bank run is based on emotion. Okay? A bank run is based on emotion. So tomorrow there could be, the bank runs happen when you have large financial institutions or large investors saying, I'm out. And then all that can just be a phone call, ladies and gentlemen. That could literally just be a phone call. Hey, you know what? I'm pulling the $20 million out tomorrow. That's it. I want my money. Can you imagine? Or if you have a retirement account or a hedge fund, or a hedge fund goes under. The hedge funds are on thin ice. The Archegos was the canary in the coal mine. That was in 21. It's like the macroeconomic environment, profits will go down because inflation is going up, not down. People are spending because they're adding to credit card debt because they want to live. Democrats, media, you're wrong, Dr. Rand, and others the hysteria, the paranoia traumatized people. Not being able to go to a restaurant or to go to the beach or to go to get coffee or to go to an office building added to tremendous trauma and hysteria, created tremendous trauma. Tremendous trauma that we're still dealing with today. So, I mean, I don't know how he could say this. Hopefully this is an isolated incident, but I don't think it is because, look, I mean, if corporate profits go down because of inflation, if inflation continues to go up and stay at 6 to 8% or 6 to 7%, you're not going to have record profits. The only reason that there are record profits is because people are putting money either on their credit card or the stimulus, $10 trillion in fiscal and monetary stimulus, still hasn't really evaporated from the economy. That's still, holding up the economy. So, I just, you look at this and it's like, if I was one of the ladies at The View, I'd be like, you voted for this, huh? But that's the way. It's so petulant, too, because anything bad that happens under Biden's administration, nobody ever says, you voted for this, huh? Inflation goes from 2% to 8%, over 8% at one point. How on earth is that Trump's fault? It was over 9%, right? Nobody was saying, you voted for this. But the ladies at The View, one of them in particular, said, people in Ohio voted for the train derailment. I was like, what? Oh, because the regulation would have prevented it. You have no knowledge. They didn't even name a specific regulation. Just same with here with the Dodd-Frank. They're like, Dodd-Frank. They would have been subjected to greater scrutiny. Yeah, and does that mean the interest rates wouldn't have gone from 0.25% to 4.75%? That they wouldn't have, that Jerome Powell would had to backtrack because he stated, along with Yellen, that that inflation was temporary. So it's and Jeremy Grantham, he predicted this for the past 2 years. The co-founder of GMO believes stocks are in a speculative bubble that is slowly deflating. The era of ultra-low interest rates and ample liquidity in the market, which has pushed stocks to dramatic highs is over. Feds have long engaged in policies that drive up the prices other than things being even and create spectacularly overpriced bubbles. Wow. And there you go. When they break, that's what bubbles have to do. They simply break off their extreme overpricing and we pay a very tough price. So, he would have been better off, the Fed would have been better off had they done nothing. And not, even inflation going up to 7% would have been better, or 8% would have been better than what took place with raising the interest rates so high, so quickly. Because they didn't care, I guess. They really didn't care. Well, you know what? If it happens, it happens. But then, when the confidence goes, see, there are two factors. Confidence and is there some kind of systemic issue? Let's say you had a great economy, but people just lacked confidence. Are we in that? No, because the Fed and Congress have pumped $10 trillion in fiscal and monetary stimulus. The quantitative easing was, along with this, with the quantitative easing, the Fed buying up government bonds, along with the stimulus payments, were a repercussion of primarily Democratic Party policies to shut down the economy. You didn't have to do that. That was a choice. It was not championed by Marjorie Taylor Greene. It was championed by AOC. It was Democrats that pushed for this, to shut down the economy. I mean, if anyone on the planet has a rebuttal for that, I'd love to hear it. Yes, Republicans also fell in line, but the loudest people in the room, I mean, if you even spoke out against the shutdowns, you were then kicked off of Twitter. So, and the experts say Trump wants to open up, defying experts. They always tried to utilize a consensus of experts as a foil to Trump. Mean, bad Trump. So, what I don't understand is why people don't question what happened. Like, there isn't a national conversation. Of course, they don't want a national conversation. There's no national conversation on how this took place. His story, hello. His story, hello. There's no national conversation on, hey, why did this why are we here? Why are we at this juncture? Nobody explains why we're at this juncture. You don't see this. It's just always about Trump. So, it's just always about Trump. They're blaming Trump all the time. Rolf, thank you so very, very much also. To my super chat, thank you. Everybody, thank you so much. To my super chat, thank you so very, very much. I will be back tomorrow, everybody. I'll, of course, be doing live streams. I'll try to do 2 live streams tomorrow and also an upload. But it's going to be interesting. I do foresee a terrible market crash, everybody, and I've been saying that since 21. Hit subscribe. Be here tomorrow. To my super chat. I can't do this without you, and you're so wonderful, and you're so awesome always. Thanks, everybody. Be safe. See you tomorrow. Have a beautiful, beautiful